The crystal chandelier cast dancing shadows across the mahogany table as I watched my wife Victoria hold court among our guests. Her laughter rang hollow to my ears now, each silvery note a reminder of how much had changed between us. Seated round our dining room were 6 people who had witnessed the evolution of our marriage from the passionate beginning to whatever this performance had become. Victoria's best friend, Natalie, sat quietly to my right, her fingers nervously tracing the rim of her wine glass. She'd been unusually subdued all evening, and I understood why. She knew what I knew. She'd been the one to warn me, to show me the truth. I've been too blind to see, darling. Victoria's voice cut through my thoughts, sharp as a blade wrapped in silk. You haven't touched your wine. Is something wrong? Our guests, mostly her colleagues from the law firm, turned their attention to me. I recognized the setup. Victoria had been orchestrating this moment all evening, building towards something. I could feel it in the calculated way she'd been controlling the conversation. The subtle jabs, the loaded smiles. I smiled faintly. Just pacing myself, I said. Wouldn't want to say something inappropriate. A chuckle rippled through the table, though it sounded forced. Victoria's eyes narrowed just slightly. She hated when I didn't play along. You've always been so careful, haven't you? She said sweetly, her gaze fixed on me, but her tone loud enough for the room. Always the peacekeeper, even when things needed action. That's when I knew. This wasn't just another of her manipulative little performances. This was the opening argument. I glanced at Natalie, who looked like she wanted to be anywhere else. Her nails dug into her palm. I could see the guilt in her eyes, the tension vibrating off her like a live wire. She wasn't just nervous. She was terrified. Maybe we should talk privately, I suggested calmly. Voice even. Victoria gave a mock sympathetic tilt of her head. Oh, sweetheart, nothing I'd say in private would change the truth. Besides, these are our friends. They deserve honesty too. Friends, right? The same people who'd whispered behind my back when Victoria got promoted, who took their cues from her moods. A courtroom without robes, and I was tonight's defendant. I see, I said. I took a sip of the wine I hadn't touched all night. Then, by all means, proceed. That surprised her, just a flicker but enough for me to see it. She thought I'd squirm, thought I'd beg. But I wasn't here to play her role. Victoria leaned forward, eyes gleaming under the chandelier light. What I'm about to say may be uncomfortable, but I think we've all been dancing around it for too long. She took a slow breath, like a lawyer preparing for cross-examination. It's about truth and courage. Natalie's hand shook slightly. She reached for her water instead of wine. I noticed. So did Victoria. I've spent years, Victoria continued, trying to make a life with someone who doesn't dream big, who plays it safe, who fears change. The air thickened. No one touched their food. Don't get me wrong, she said. Eyes on me now. You've always been dependable, but I'm not here to settle. I'm not built for mediocrity. There it was, a slow character assassination, framed as a confession of strength. The woman I married, the one I once believed in more than anything, was now trying to assassinate my character in front of a hand-picked jury, and she wanted applause for it. Natalie made a sound like she was about to speak, but stopped. I could see her face pale, tense, and ashamed. I leaned back in my chair, crossing one leg over the other, letting the silence stretch. If that's what you really believe, I said slowly, then maybe we should let the night speak for itself. Victoria smiled again, but this one didn't reach her eyes. Exactly, she said. It's time for everyone to know what kind of man you really are. I didn't flinch, because soon enough, they would. Victoria didn't skip a beat. The chandelier above us glittered as she stood and gently tapped her fork against her glass. A soft chime echoed through the tense silence. Every guest froze, caught between their polite instincts and the clear tension brewing in the room. I just want to say something, Victoria announced, her voice as polished as her posture, about growth, self-worth, and what it means to be truly honest. She looked at me like I was a specimen under glass. We all pretend sometimes. We tell ourselves stories to avoid hard truths. But at some point, pretending becomes a prison. Someone at the table coughed. Someone else looked down at their plate. No one touched their forks. I've been married to a man who doesn't challenge me, who resists change, who doesn't push himself. And I know it sounds cruel, but it's time I stopped protecting him from that truth. The trap wasn't just about me, it was about the guests. She was using their presence to legitimize her narrative, forcing them to bear witness so her version of events would go unchallenged. I stayed still, perfectly still, Natalie. Though, she was trembling now. I could hear the water in her glass sloshing. Her lips moved like she was rehearsing a sentence she couldn't say out loud. Victoria continued. He's a good man, kind, but he's small, and I've outgrown small. The line landed like a slap, even though her tone stayed gentle. The kind of gentleness that makes knives sound like lullabies. No one looked at me. No one looked at her. They looked at their plates. Except Natalie. She was looking directly at me. Her eyes, filled with panic and guilt, were screaming, "Don't lose your calm, please." I didn't. I took another sip of wine. Victoria wasn't expecting that. Her gaze faltered just for a moment, but I caught it. She'd wanted an explosion. She'd wanted to point to my temper, my pride, anything she could spin into justification. But I didn't give her a single note of the symphony she'd rehearsed. "Victoria," I said evenly, "if you wanted a divorce, all you had to do was say so." That pulled a gasp from someone. Finally, something real broke the silence. Victoria blinked, recalibrating. "This isn't about divorce. It's about accountability. I'm not here to shame you. I'm here to stop pretending. For myself, for everyone who's ever stayed quiet to keep the peace." And then she did it. She reached for her wedding band, twisted it once, then pulled it off slowly like it burned. "I'm done settling," she said. She placed the ring on the table with theatrical precision. It made a soft tap against the wood, but the sound felt like thunder. That was her power move. Her closing argument, a symbol that she had claimed the high road, walked out of the cage, and left the safe man behind. I looked at the ring, then at her. Then, without a word, I picked it up and examined it like evidence at a crime scene. Natalie choked on her breath. She was silently pleading, "Now don't say my name, please. Not here." I looked Victoria dead in the eye. "Are you sure that's the story you want to tell?" I asked quietly. She hesitated. I continued, "If this is about truth, should we stop halfway?" Her confidence wobbled. "I don't know what you mean." I turned the ring in my hand, slowly. "Does the name Harrison mean anything to our friends here?" Now the room truly stopped breathing. The name hit like a grenade wrapped in velvet. Everyone at the table knew who Harrison was, her direct supervisor, the charming, married partner with a reputation for long strategy weekends. Victoria's breath caught. Her posture didn't change, but her face flickered like the mask she'd been wearing cracked. Just a hairline fracture, but enough to see the panic beneath. "I think," I said, "the guests deserve the full version. 6 months of hotel charges, deleted texts, business trips that weren't business. If we're being honest." A fork clinked to the floor. Someone stood up and sat back down, unsure what to do with their body. Victoria's voice went low. "You're twisting things." "No," I said. "I'm just turning the ring, like you did." Natalie looked like she might be sick, but she wasn't shaking anymore. I watched the balance shift. Victoria's narrative, her perfect arc, was splintering. And for the first time that night, she didn't look like the one holding the gavel. Victoria's mouth opened, but no words came. Her story, her perfect, controlled unraveling, was collapsing like a stage prop in the rain. Then Natalie moved. Her chair scraped back, sudden and loud. She stood slowly, pale but upright, her voice trembling just enough to remind us she wasn't used to being loud in rooms like this. "I showed him," she said. "It was me." The table recoiled. One guest's wine glass tipped slightly, but no one moved to stop it. Victoria's head snapped toward her. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I do," Natalie replied. "I saw the hotel confirmation emails. I recognized the bracelet in the mirror selfie you accidentally posted from that spa. You forgot to crop it." Victoria's smile was gone. Her face was still, but her eyes were blades. "You're jealous," she hissed. "I was your best friend," Natalie said, voice cracking. "I defended you. I covered for you until I realized you weren't confused, you were cruel." I stood, still holding the ring. Victoria's chest rose and fell. "It didn't mean anything. Harrison, he doesn't even matter now." A lie. A fallback. And everyone knew it. I turned to the guests. She wanted this to be public. She wanted to be the hero in her own escape story. "That's why you're all here." The man across from us, Ben, a junior partner, looked sick. "Victoria, is this true?" Victoria opened her mouth, but Natalie cut in. She told Harrison she was almost free. I saw the message. There was a picture of a jewelry box. It said, "For my future wife, when you're finally done with him." Now it wasn't just about cheating. It was about premeditation, manipulation, a new life staged on the ruins of this one. Silence engulfed the room like smoke. No one made a sound. I looked at the ring again, then at Natalie. She was crying, not sobbing. Just quiet tears sliding down her cheeks. But she didn't look away. I walked over to her, slowly, carefully. "This isn't a proposal," I said loud enough for everyone to hear. "This is gratitude for having the guts to speak up when I couldn't." I took Victoria's ring, the same one she discarded so casually, and slid it onto Natalie's right hand. Not the left. Not for love, for loyalty. Victoria lunged forward like she could stop at mid-motion. "That's my ring." I looked her dead in the eyes. "No. That's what it used to mean. Now it means something else." Natalie covered her mouth. Her knees buckled, and I studied her. The room blurred, shifted. Victoria no longer the star, but a woman standing in the ashes of her own script. She stared at me, voice brittle. "So that's it?" "No," I said. "There's more." Guests began to rise, awkward and slow, unsure of the etiquette for a social detonation. I waited until only the three of us remained. Victoria sat down, heavily. Her hands trembled for the first time all night. She looked at me, and for once, there was no mask. "Is there any chance left?" she whispered. I shook my head. "You didn't just cheat. You planned a spectacle. You rehearsed my humiliation, and you invited an audience." Tears welled in her eyes, but I didn't feel pity. I felt tired. "Claire, you didn't want closure," I said. "You wanted applause." She broke. The sound she made wasn't crying, it was something worse. A soft collapse of pride. Natalie wiped her face. Quiet again. Her voice was soft as she said, "I'll go." I nodded. "Thank you for not letting me find out alone." Victoria didn't speak again. She just stood, picked up her coat, and left without ceremony. The house felt cold, quiet, but also, finally, honest. And sometimes that's all that's left to save.